Happy holiday Monday, everyone. I hope you're having a great long weekend. My apologies for being a little late today. It's been a hectic day in the studio today. I'm just kind of going from one online event to the next, and I'm happy to be here with you today. And I want to talk to you briefly about studio essentials. Now, a few weeks ago, I discussed the most important tools when working on plein air, on location, and what you should use at that point. And now that the weather is starting to get a little bit cooler in the days and nights, we're all starting to think about being in the studio for the winter. And that's one of my most productive times once the weather starts changing and I don't want to be outside as much. I do get a lot done painting wise, hopefully. That's always the goal, anyways. So today I want to talk to you about the importance of having a really good studio setup. And for years, I just had my studio set up in the corner of our dining room, next to the dining room table. And I worked for a long time in that little corner. You don't need a lot of space to have a good studio space. I had my easel set up, which my dad built custom for me, but you don't need that. There's a lot of great easels available at the art supply stores. And I also used one of the little portable easels for many years. So the big wood ones, like I've got here in my studio, I don't know if you can see it. You see it in the photographs there. It will hold big paintings. So you don't need to graduate to a full-on easel until you do things that are bigger than a 36-inch canvas. So if you're going to do a 40 by 50, you need to graduate to a proper canvas. And I also highly recommend that your studio space has got a lot of natural light. Right now, I have no lights on in my studio. I've got some really good windows. And the best, most consistent light is from a north-facing window. And the reason being is that the way the sun sets, you're not going to get highlights and shadows cast on your canvas at any given time. So that's not always ideal. Mine is a south-facing window, and I think a west-facing window. I have great light in my studio. So if you're building yourself a new studio, do north-facing windows. Otherwise, go with natural. On the days when it's dark and cloudy, I have an OttLite, which is the closest type of light that you can get to natural light. So that's also a very good investment for your studio. And yes, just have a space so that you don't have to clean up and put all your paint supplies away at the end of the day. It doesn't have to be an entire room. It is good if you have a space where you can be not interrupted, where there's not a lot of noise, where you can just, at the end of the day, leave your painting set up and look at it in different lights. It's really good to be able to observe it later. It's always difficult to have to put everything away at the end of the day. Remember to take good care of your brushes. You want to clean them on a daily basis. Do not forget to clean your brushes. Hello, my students. Don't forget to clean your brushes. Now, I also want to quickly show you, and I'm going to try not to touch the microphone here. Excuse. I want to show you my palette. Now, this, I hope you can still hear me. In my studio, I use a glass palette. And the reason I use this is because it's very easy cleanup. And I use just a little X-Acto knife to scrape off the mixed puddles of paint at the end of the day. And it works really well. When I'm on location, I use the disposable paper palette. And that works well for a lot of things, for easy transport, and you can use the paper just a few times and then toss it away. I also want to show you my brush holder right here. take note of that. It holds the brushes all on separate, the wet brushes. It's just simply a piece of wood that my dad built for me with different holes in it to hold the wet brushes. So that comes in very handy. Glass palette, very important, good lighting. And I am just going to quickly show you another one of these fabulous tools that my one of my students showed me this for wiping off your mistakes. Q-tip, really good stuff. And what else do I want to talk to you about? Yeah, all good stuff. Your paint palette. Everyone has their own way they like to do their palette. I do my warm colors up along the top and my cool colors along the side. And this is another really important tool. Tube bringer, very important. That will make your tubes of paint last much longer if you use the tube bringer, almost like a toothpaste wringer. I'm sorry to be rolling backwards here. This has not been my most elegant. I'm a bit rushed today. There I am. Yes, so make sure you get every speck of paint out of your tube with a tube bringer. And I also want to keep in stock in your studio chalk, because I always recommend that my students use chalk to draw on their blank canvases, not pencil, because pencil marks and pastels can show through the oil paints. So use chalk, and I recommend using the darker colors of chalk, blues, greens, that type of thing, and not HB pencils. Some students really prefer to use pencils, so it's not written in stone. There are no absolute rules, but give the chalk a go. And a lot of students will say that they don't like the chalk because you can't get enough detail, but in your initial sketching on stage, you're not looking for detail in your painting. You're just blocking in the major shapes. So I really encourage you to set up a proper studio space in your home somewhere. It doesn't have to be a whole room. It can be a corner of your living room, dining room, family room, whatever it may be. Just get a specific place to do your artwork that you don't have to clean up at the end of the day, every day. And when I was in my early career, I was told by several artists that it is unprofessional to have your art studio in your home, and that if I wanted to be considered a professional, that I would have to rent a studio. So I did that in Inglewood in Calgary for quite a long time. It was a great experience. I really enjoyed it. It did give me the space to really hone my craft. And it really gave me the time, because when you're away from your home, then you don't get so distracted doing dishes or whatnot. You can just go and there's nothing to do but paint. So there's something valid in that statement. But that being said, it's also nice to be able to go have your dinner, do the dishes, and then come back in and work at the end of the day for an extra hour. And that really is helpful. So for me, being in my home is much more advantageous. And the other thing I just realized right behind me, my dad also built me a little wooden box that I used to cover my palette. And I simply put the cover down, cover the palette with the blobs of paint that are still unused. They will last you for quite some time if you cover them up. So don't be afraid to put out too much paint. The last thing in the world you want to do is put out teeny bits of paint and be constantly going back to your tubes of paint throughout your painting session. put out a good amount of paint, and chances are it will not go to waste. If it does start to dry, you can simply lift a bit of the scab over the top of the paint, and there'll be plenty of fresh paint underneath. So just keep it covered, keep your pellet covered, and you'll be good to go for quite some time. So those are, in a nutshell, a really quick spiel. I feel like I was talking really fast today because I wanted to talk to you about a lot of things. But I am interested to hear in what your favorite studio tools are. So please leave a comment. And like I said, good old fashioned Q-tip. I learned this from my students. Never a bad day to learn something new. So please pass on your tips to me, and I will pass it on in another 10-minute Monday. See you again next week. And if you have something you'd like me to talk about, let me know, and have a good one. Okay, thanks. Sorry, I was a bit talking fast, but lots to share today. Okay, bye for now.